Today we're going to learn about a coin described as the head of a fool stamped on the neck of an arse. The year was 1797 and the Bank of England had a critical shortage of circulating currency. There were a number of runs on the bank and cash levels were depleted. Almost 20% of the bank's holdings were taken out in a matter of 2 days. So they had to do something and they had to do it quick. And it seems to be the 8 reals is one of the most versatile coins when you look back in history. There were a number of applications for them, and Australia even made use of them for the holy dollar and dump, which is probably a separate video in and of itself. So we'll try to stick to this one just for today. In order to alleviate the currency shortage, the Bank of England stamped the head of George III just here on the centre in a little oval shape, and this was to identify the coin as technically now being a British coin. So I think it's a clever way to address the issue, and they actually did this counterstamp on, it was over 3 million coins I believe, but it didn't actually take off, as it were, as they were very easy to counterfeit. So they ended up with a more permanent solution in the early 1800s where they completely filed the coin down and effectively issued their own emergency dollar. But this was the interim solution and a very interesting piece of history. Fun fact about the host coin here is the mint mark. So the way that you can identify the mint that an 8 reals coin was produced at is by this mark here. So the OM here indicates that it was produced in Mexico City. And whilst Mexico City, or Mexico, is actually still the world's largest producer of silver, during this time in the late 1700s, they accounted for about 60% of the world's silver production. So you can imagine there were quite a few coins coming out of there as well. So back to the expression, the head of a fool stamped on the neck of an arse. This was used by some people to describe this particular coin due to not having much of a fondness for either king. Some people also described it as it was 2 kings not worth a crown between them. So the public sentiment was obviously not great in some instances. In addition to being in incredibly good condition, this particular coin, it also has really lovely toning. So I'll get some shots of it and see if I can catch it in the right light for you. It's often difficult to communicate the toning of a coin purely through imagery. So I'll put in some video footage and move it around a little, because once it hits the light just right, you'll see exactly what I mean. It looks beautiful. It's a really, really nice coin, this one. It's also interesting to note that at the time of being issued in March of 1797, the bank originally came out on the 6th of March, stating that the value of these coins, these counterstamped coins, would be 4 shillings and 3 pence, I believe. And then 3 days later, it was upgraded to 4 shillings and 9 pence. I think that was due to the value of the silver price increasing. So the higher the silver price gets, the closer it gets to the actual value of the coin, the more likely that they're going to end up making their way into the melting pot, which actually happened in a number of instances back in the day with the gold sovereigns, which is part of what makes things like these quite collectible, is there were many periods in history where they were either lost, destroyed, or just melted because the intrinsic value exceeded the face value. So there you go, a little bit of an overview on a fascinating issue and a very rare coin. If you'd like to learn any more, feel free to get in touch at thompsonscoins.com or drop a comment. What do you think of the counterstamped coins? And if you could counterstamp a coin, let's say your current dollar coin, what would you like to put on there? Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.